Hello and welcome to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs. Let me begin by showing you the plates and the tools that I'm working with today. The first one is the Betterpress Plate, the Kaleidoscope Flowers. This was a must-have as soon as I saw it. I like the background. I'm also going to be mainly using the sentiments from the Betterpress of the month from November. So I'm using the many thanks, all the best and hello there, but I'll also quickly show you the Sentimental Mosaic. I am a big fan of the Betterpress cotton card panels. This is the A2 porcelain. I don't have very many left, but you do get good results from standard A4 stamping card, but I'll show you the difference as we work through it. A few other things that I'm going to be using today include the Craft Consortium ink drops paper. I've got the Retro Summer and the Grunge light tones because I thought they would work well as background. And here is a sneaky peek of a new pad that's coming up in February called Ombre. So keep an eye on the Craft Consortium website for details of when these fantastic papers launch. More tried and tested favourites are the VersaFine Clair inks, so I'm going to use a mix of colours. I've got the Verdant and the Warm Breeze, the Charming Pink and the Fantasia, and finally I've got Summertime and Tulip Red. I'm also going to be using the Black Onyx. And at some points I'll be using tiny rollers just to disperse the ink. Firstly, I want to clean up the pattern of the Betterpress. I love working with this tool. I like to keep it as clean as possible, so I use press and seal. You've seen me do this before on one of my first Betterpress videos. I'll leave you the link. But all I'm doing here is taking the press and seal and replacing it so that I've got a nice clean surface. So once I've got the pattern ready to go, I'm going to begin inking with the blues and greens first. I use the ink directly from the ink pad. Some of it was rolled in to try and blend it together, and the first sample that I do is using the everyday stamping card because I wanted to see the effect before I committed to using the more expensive cotton panel. So we went for the verdant green to begin with. Don't worry, I'll slow this down so that you can see a step-by-step process later on, so do keep watching. But here I'm just trying a variety of colours to see the difference in the results that I get with the stamping card and the Betterpress cotton panel cards. These are easy inks to clean up. So then I'm going to move on to the pinks and purples. I'm going to use a simple wet wipe to take off the bulk of the colour and dry it off with a cloth. I batch make. When I'm using the Betterpress, I like to try different things all in one go. So I'm going to begin by using the stamping card. I'm using the pink on its own to begin with, almost to seal the plate. With the shims that you use, with the stamping card, which is around about 100 GSM, I was adding one or two extra pieces of card just to give me some grip within the machine. So then I move on and I'm trying now the purple and the pink together. I use a roller to blend the inks together, and here again I'm using the stamping card, so I need another shim on the top, and you'll see just how slowly I run the machine through. And there's no doubting that you get fantastic results. It's on a par at least with stamping in your stamping platform, but when you come to use the cotton card panels, you can see that the Betterpress plates are etched within the card itself. So the better the quality of card, the more detailed your end result will be, but you can try and experiment, and you'll see that you get fantastic results whatever card or ink you use. Fast forward about 20 minutes and I've ended up with a whole set of inked backgrounds. This is the cotton panel to begin with in different shades, and you can see the difference with the first set compared to the whole array that I ended up with as testers with the stamping card. You can use these, and I do end up using these, but the only way to explain it is you'll end up with a superior finish when you use the cotton card. This time I'm using Craft Consortium's papers. I'm a big fan of these products. I am lucky enough to be on the design team, so some of these papers I've been given, some of them I've bought, but I wanted to see the results I could achieve by using the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. It's a very reliable ink and it's one of my favourites, so I'm inking up the plate and then I'm going to combine these to produce some more backgrounds. The ink drops papers around about 118 GSM, so I did end up to begin with adding a couple of sheets of card to give myself a shim, and this seemed to work, but all I could say is experiment. You want the platen to kiss as it goes through your die cutting machine. You want to take it at a steady pace, sing a nursery rhyme or something to yourself and time yourself going slowly through the cutting machine, and then you will see that every single time you will end up with the perfect result. So here is the actual background, and it is a stunning image, and you can see just how clear it is on the coloured paper. So I was so pleased that I carried on and I made a few more. You'll see that it doesn't matter what background you use, you end up with brilliant results every time. I'll quickly show you the Betterpress Plate of the month. I use the same technique, but really I use this set for the sentiments. You can head to the Spellbinders website for further details on the monthly subscriptions. As I wanted the colours to blend with the backgrounds, I used the leftover strips that I'd cut originally, and I line up the sentiments within the Betterpress grid, and this time I used the Betterpress ink. It's just as good as VersaFine Clair and you get clear results every single time. So I'm working it through the white, the colours. I use some of the cotton panel because I want everything to complement the backgrounds of the cards that I'm going to be making. Now I've got all the components, it's time to put the card together. The first one is using the cotton panels. So I used a corner rounder to round off the edges of the card and the base. I added some green pen to the outside edge, and on this particular card, because I wanted it to be a little bit more extravagant, I added some foam tape before mounting it up. I used a variety of methods to make the cards up because some I'm going to be handing to people and some I deliberately made flatter because I wanted to be able to send them in the standard letter post. And this is why when I added the coloured backgrounds to the card, I just used wet glue, no foam tape. And I spotted that if you move the card around you get completely different results. So some of the coloured background ones end up being landscape rather than portrait, but it's a really interesting design because it doesn't matter which way round you use it, you end up with a really beautiful design. Of course you can put the sentiments in the different areas of the card because you want to draw your eye around the images. Because I'm batch making, I made all the cards up first and then I add the sequence. On this particular card I added the green ink drops paper, and then I decided to paper piece out some of the blue ocean ink drops paper. So I fussy cut out the larger flowers, and I did cut them directly on the line rather than leaving an edge, and then it was a matter of placing it within the background until I ended up with a result that I liked. I ended up taking out a couple of the flowers, but it's a matter of moving the images around until you're happy with the results. Because I wanted it to contrast with the background, I did end up using some Pinflair 3D gel. I added ink to the edges, just some dark black ink to outline the sentiment, and then I brought in the 3D gel just to layer up the flowers. Sequins are some of my favourite embellishments. I've got them in a range of colours. So here all I'm doing is adding 3 sequins into the images. They're different every single time, but I try to keep the tones the same as the background. But I'm making a triangle to draw your eye around the card. While I'm adding the rest of the sequins, let me know in the comments below which one of these cards is your favourite. Do you like the traditional Betterpress designs, or are you a fan of bringing in the Craft Consortium papers? Personally, I love making cards like these because you get really professional results every single time, and they are unique to you. I'm going to be sending some of these cards out as thank yous because I've received some beautiful cards and gifts this week because I've been celebrating my birthday. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to welcoming you back to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs very soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.